he or she is supposed to be taken away from this world. Meaning that he just reflects the reality of the same person to himself or to herself. He doesn't add anything to it. He doesn't bring anything outside of this, right? He just shows exactly how the person truly is. And mashallah, there are so many true stories about, the pious people who their spiritual eye actually becomes open. They start seeing the spiritual faces of the people, right? And a lot of times they actually go to imam, they go to a shrine, and they beg and they pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to close back this spiritual eye once more, right? Because imagine, in the same place that you live, with the same neighbors, with the same friends, with the same people, that every day you say salam alaikum, you say hi, you say hello, all of a sudden you see the realities, right? How difficult would the life be? You want to say hello, but it's not a human, it's like something like a mixture of a human and some other stuff, right? And that's a good one. Or you want to say hello, you see the person in the form of a specific type of animals, right? And these are the people again that you're always interacting with, right? So they would go to the Ma'asumeen and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove these blessings from them. Okay, removing these blessings from them is not going to remove the reality, right? Meaning that when the death angel comes, all he does, he opens the eye of the person towards his true reality, right? And that's why we say, at the time of Ihtizar, right? The person who's dying, right, doesn't see the death angel with the physical eye. If it was with the physical eye, those who were around him, they would see him as well, right? He's seeing this, he's observing all of this with the spiritual eye, which is a part of the process of death. The process of death is like when the death angel comes, he starts activating this spiritual sense of the person, right? Meaning the reality of it. It becomes upfront versus the physical body. He has to leave it behind, right? And that's actually sort of like the journey which we have in life. In a way, when we look at all the teachings of religion, all of the ahkam, all the akhlaq, all the different teachings of religion, and when we look at the purpose of these teachings, right, in a whole, all at once, we see that they're constantly pushing us towards the matter of detaching ourselves from this world and getting closer and closer and closer to the spiritual realm, right? So you look at all the ahkam, right? They're always in a place. For example, they say one of the best time that everybody likes to sleep is early mornings after the time of morning prayer, right? That's one of the best times that people like to sleep. They say it's the sweetest, sleep that you can, a person can wish for. We look at the teachings of the religion, right? We see that it has karaha, and this karaha is severe, right? It's makruh shadidan. To sleep, bring it to going between, from the time of the morning prayer up to the time that the sun actually rises up, right? So this time they say is actually the time that they, distribute the provisioning, that they distribute the rizq at this time. So it's highly recommended to stay awake at this time, right? And any sort of the teachings that we find in religion, we say they work in a way that they constantly try to gradually reduce the amount of attachment that we have to the physical realm and make the focus and intention on the hereafter, right? Even on the akhlaqi, teachings that we have, right? That's why we always have this focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that again, move away from all of these material desires and get one step closer to where a true ibadah, a true, for example, destiny is, right? So inshallah, when we look at it this way, then again, we can find the benefits of the teachings of religion. We just do not look at it as a duty. I think that's one of the worst way of looking at the ahkam and the akhlaq teachings, right? When we just look at it as something that is duty on my shoulder, it's a responsibility that I just have to get rid of, right? What happens when we look at it this way? We just stick with the bare minimum, right? If it's salat, we stay to the bare minimum of the conducting the salat. If it's fasting, we just stay to the bare minimum of fasting, right? If it's doing hajj, if it's khums, if it's zakat, if it's all of this, we just stay with the bare minimum. Versus we look at it as a mean of a prescription, as a way of leading us towards that spirituality, right, in which we are actually destined for, right? Then we tend to seek for more. We tend to seek for mustahabat and out of passion. not by force, right? Out of joy, out of happiness. So this change of perspective, right, is something that we have to work on. We have to like constantly remind ourselves that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that, for example, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُم, right? This when He makes something wajib, that means that's the bare minimum that we need in order in our lifetime to reach our final destiny, right? As you all know, when we talk about ahkam, it's a very bare minimum. Why? Because in ahkam, the approach that the fuqaha, the jurists actually take, is this the principle. What should a servant do that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not punish him? Meaning you try to avoid the punishment. We're not talking about gaining the rewards, we're trying to avoid the punishment, right? Meaning at the end of the day we try to break even, right? We try to break even, right? But we don't want to break even. We want to gain more, right? That's a smart move. Where does the gaining comes to play? Within the circle of mustahabat and makruhat. And of course, the circle of mustahabat and makruhat relies upon the circle of wajibat and muharramat. We cannot say, oh, I'm not going to do salat, but for example, I'm going to do a lot more sadaqah, right? I'm not going to do my salat like the morning prayer. Instead, I'm going to go to the masjid of Imam Hussein and I'm going to do matam all night. Can you say that? Yes? No? Maybe? No? Yes? No, right? First wajibat, then mustahabat, right? Even if the mustahab is such a high, like recommended act, such as, doing an azan matam for Abu Abdullah Hussein. First, we have to start with the wajibat. Once the wajibat is placed, then we go and we move on to the mustahabat, right? And this is actually one of the ways that shaitan works, right? He usually comes to us and he says, oh, that's wajib, that's okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, merciful. He's the most kind. He's the most compassionate, right? That's wajib, inshallah, that's haqqullah. He's going to forgive you. But this one is mustahab. If you for example, go to the masjid, you do all this stuff, you did all this rewards, all these thawab, right? Then imagine you're trying to build, our spirit in a sense. If it doesn't have a foundation, how can we focus on the higher levels, right? So again, this matter becomes something very practical, especially within the communities, right? A lot of times happens that the majlis takes a long time, right? It takes even more than after midnight, they still continue, mashallah. But when it comes to the matter of, for example, doing the morning prayer on time, we see that we're wishy-washy about it. Okay, I'll just do it a little bit later. I'll do it I still have time, I'll have about an hour. Let me just sleep a little bit more, right? Versus when they ask, like Ayatollah Marhum Bahja, right? What should we do to find success in this world and the next? He was just saying, just conduct and offer your prayers on time. One fact, offer your prayers on time. It's offering the prayers on time. It opens up so many channels and so many gateways for us, right? That through those gateways you can find success in this world and the next, right? Similar question was asked from Ayatollah Ghazi. And what did he respond? He said, if you want the sa'ada in this dunya, or if you want the sa'ada in the akhirah, if you want to become successful in this dunya or the next, I'll give you one recommendation. Salatul Layl, Salatul Layl, Salatul Layl. Right? Do the nocturnal prayer. Right? Do the Salatul Layl. Right? Even if you don't have time, just do it as you wake up for the morning prayer. It's a matter of adjustment. Right? They asked Marhum Bahja, that we cannot wake up for the Salatul Layl. What should we do? He said it's easy. Just manage the time that you go to sleep. Instead of going to sleep at 10, 11, 12 midnight, just make an adjustment. Go to sleep just half an hour earlier, wake up half an hour earlier. And they say, I think it's, after do research on this one, this is what I heard, I'm not sure if it's a fact. They say that the sleeping time that the body actually benefits from during the first hours of the night, right, it counts as a couple hours towards the end of the night. Meaning that if I sleep 1 hour, 2 hours at the beginning of the night, that counts as a couple hours if I sleep late at night. The body gets a lot more rest, it has more quality in terms of the rest, right? So again, every teaching that we have in religion, there is a purpose for it. We have to find out what that purpose is, in order, inshallah, to find that sincerity within ourselves. And I make one parenthesis here, right? all of the stuff that we talk about, right, the matter of whys and hows and stuff, it should not become the intention in which we conduct the deed. What do I mean? They say all the deeds has to be done qurbatan ila Allah, right, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine, if I know the purpose, if I know the why and the reason behind the specific act, they say be careful. Do the act not because you understand the reason of it, but still do the act because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you. What's the difference? If I do it because I understand the reason, little by little I get into this habit of committing everything, right? As long as I understand the reason behind it. If I don't understand the reason behind it, I may not do such a good job, number one. Number two, in a way, I am actually following my own ego. I understand it, so I'm okay with it, I will do it, right? If you look at it thoroughly, I'm like actually following my own ego. But in a real approach, they say no. Put that aside, even if you know the reason. Just do it sincerely and purely because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, right? Meaning try to manifest this spirit of obedience, ibadah, in yourself, right? I'm sure all of you have heard about this famous hadith. It's called Hadith Unwan al-Basri, inshallah, right? Who is Unwan al-Basri? He was this elder gentleman, close to I think 90 years old if I'm not mistaken. What was his story? He used to go to an Asad Malik for learning the Islamic sciences, right? So he hears that Imam al-Sadiq has entered the city of Medina. In his heart, right, he says, okay, Imam al-Sadiq, descendant of the Prophet, let me go and learn something from him. So he goes to the house of Imam al-Sadiq, he asks for permission, right? Imam al-Sadiq, interesting, a 90 years old man has come to your door as a guest. What would you do, right? Imam al-Sadiq denies him the permission to enter, right? Why? Same question happened to him. He was constantly asking himself why. Why Imam al-Sadiq, the descendant of the Prophet, the Imam of Shias, right? Did not allow me to enter his house, right? He gets disappointed. He tells himself if there was the slightest khair, if there was the slightest good in me, Imam, for example, he would have let me in. He gets depressed, he goes to his home and he gives up going to the classes of Anas ibn Malik, right? He stays in home for 3 days, right? The only time he would leave the house was for the Jama'ah prayer. After 3 days, his patience runs out, right? He finally gives up. It's like, I cannot even bear this. He goes to the Masjid al-Nabi, right? He offers 2 rak'ah and he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the haqq of Rasulullah to soften the heart of Imam al-Sadiq towards him. After that one, he goes directly back to the house of Imam al-Sadiq, right? This time he asks again for the permission to enter. The servant goes in and comes out and he says, you are welcome, and enter ala barakatullah, right? Enter the house of Imam al-Sadiq. So he goes in and he says, when I entered, I found Imam al-Sadiq constantly saying his azkar, and he was constantly looking down as if he was contemplating. So I sat down, I said salam, he replied my salam, right? After a couple of seconds, he raised his head and asked me, what can I do for you? What's your question? Right? So when one, right, raises this question, he says, oh, Imam Sadiq, why doesn't use the term Imam, right? I've been going to Anas for such a long time and I've been learning from him. Now I would like to learn something from you. Imam Sadiq tells them, number one, I'm a very busy man. A lot of people are after me. The state is after me. All the officials are after me. All the people are after me. I have all the students. I don't have, spare time, right, to actually have a separate class, right? If you want to learn something, go back to your previous teacher. You don't have to come to me. Go back to him and learn from him, right? But if you want the true knowledge, right? If you want the true knowledge, first you have to find haqiqatul ubudiyya within yourself, right? Haqiqatul ubudiyya, the reality of obedience, the reality of how to actually, serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So now, on one, he gets shaken in a way, he gets enlightened. He's like, wow, so far I was thinking that learning knowledge was about to find a teacher, taking books, taking pens, and taking notes, going to the class, going from one teacher to another teacher, from another teacher to another teacher, the same path that we have. But all of a sudden, Imam Sadiq tells them, if you want true knowledge, that true knowledge first has a prerequisite. What is that prerequisite? You have to find haqiqat al-ubudiyya within yourself. As if he opens up this whole new channel of knowledge for anyone, right? So he asked him, what is the haqiqat al-ubudiyya? Imam starts explaining to him in details. You can actually search this hadith online. It's a very interesting hadith. And it was highly recommended again by Ayatollah Ghazi to all of his students to have this hadith printed with you and review it at least twice a week, right? So this is a practical way. Everybody can have it on their cell phone. They can just read through it, like all the stuff that he has, and contemplate on it, right? And what does it mean to have haqiqat al-ubudiyya, right? If we do all of the deeds of the religion, and yet again we do not, sense this feeling of ubudiyya towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means our direction is a little bit off the grid, right? You have to go back and you have to focus on our ikhlas, our sincerity. Why am I doing ubudiyya for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? This ubudiyya, it's not a matter of a very strong leader who's opposing a lot of stuff on someone who's weak. No, again, remember we talked about this, right? The relationship between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala